Welcome back. It's 15 after 7 p.m. on the dot. And it's time now for the hashtag, the Go Wild segment. And tonight, obviously, we are talking about shark cage diving. And in this regard, we are going to be speaking to a specialist, John Miller. And so shark cage diving, basically, to talk to us a bit more regarding this and the Aliwal Shoal is John Miller. John, good evening and welcome to Salam Media in the Friday Night Live program.
Good evening, man. Nice to be on the show.
Great to have you with us. Thanks for taking the time. John, first things first, before we get into shark cage diving and the whole Aliwal Shoal and coral reefs and everything like that, your involvement in diving and what was the motivation for you and just exactly who is John Miller?
Basically, I was just very lucky that my father was into fishing. So it all started with the fishing. And joining a lot of us in the diving industry, that's how it all started. We all started as fishermen on the boats. And I've actually been in the diving industry for 30 years now. And I've been working with sharks for just over 20 years. And then 15 years ago, obviously because the shark cage diving is done in Cape Town, I also thought, well, why don't we do it in Durban? And obviously, we get a lot of internationals coming to Durban and obviously people from national all over the place. So they started 15 years ago and going really well.
Wow.
And the beauty about that is as well, you don't need any diving experience. Anybody from the age of 6 years old can do it as well. And you also don't have to be a swimmer. So it's really good to get people out into the ocean, see the sharks.
Now, you made a very important point there. You don't need to be a swimmer because many people, there are many people who maybe, can't swim. They might have, questions in this regard. And we want the viewers and listeners of Salam Media to send through your comments on 061-766-0355, or you can just comment below. Now, John, in regards to open water diving, and I understand obviously South Africa is one of a few countries in the world where this is obviously experienced. For those who don't understand this concept, just talk to us about it. And what makes South Africa so unique in this regard?
It's also, there's many places in the world who don't even have sharks anymore. Through overfishing, obviously sharks getting killed for their fins. So
environmental impact.
So we still, exactly that. We're lucky that our sharks are all protected, and we've got a lot of marine reserves in the country as well now, which is really good. So that also just helps with the protection there.
Now, obviously, you come with a wealth of experience. 25 years of scuba diving experience. Now, talk to us regarding the Aliwal Shoal Reef. I've had a look at this. I haven't personally been there, but I believe, obviously, it's off the coast of, obviously, KZN. What makes this so unique? What's so different about this reef? And give us a bit of a background on that.
Basically, it is rated on this day as one of the top 10 dive sites in the world. And also with the diversity of the marine life that we do have on the reef. And then we've got a lot of migrating fish that come through our area as well. And then we also have the humpback whales in the winter as well. And we get the ragged-tooth sharks that come up from the Cape that come here to breed as well. So besides the marine life, we've also obviously got the sharks and everything else there. And it's a nice shallow reef as well. So it's good for diving. And we've also got two wrecks here. One went down in 1974. The produce, and then the Nebo went down in 1856. So that's also quite special on our reef here.
Now, you talk about, the great white, and we know South Africa is home to that. Many people know that shark, tiger shark, etc. The different types of marine life you mentioned about here at this reef and, along our coastline. We're obviously blessed, in this regard. Now, the impact of marine life and, the environment, do you think, obviously, when it comes to, the social understanding of this, you think a bit more campaigns need to be initiated in this regard, in your opinion?
It's also, the Aliwal Shoal's been around for years, and obviously through tourism and through marketing, there are a lot of groups that do go and promote it, and then, and because it's a marine reserve too, and things are protected, so that's also just helped us a lot. Where maybe it should have been done years ago, like Sodwana Bay and places where your reefs will be in a more pristine condition, and then also, no fishing allowed on the reef and things like that, which was introduced it's probably about 7 years now ago. So that's also good, so it just helps protecting it and, letting the people see everything in their natural environment.
Now, I want to ask something. Obviously, we understand that the Aliwal Shoal is known, especially for abundance of the grey nurse shark, and you mentioned it earlier, the ragged tooth shark. Now, this type of different shark compared to obviously the great white. Talk to us about this.
Okay, well, basically, I mean, the ragged tooth shark, overseas they call it a sand tiger.
Okay.
So one of the reasons they come here, the females arrive first from the Cape, and then the males actually come here to breed. And those sharks are reef sharks. They won't come to the surface like your cage diving sharks, for example. So on your cage diving, like in the Cape, you'll have the great whites coming to the surface. Generally, I mean, I've had them once or twice. Yeah, it's been in the right place at the right time. So they do come through our area, but because there's no food for them, they just keep moving on. And that's obviously why the great whites live in Cape Town, because of the seals and the diversity of food they've got there. Just trying to think what else I can say there.
No, it's fine. Now I want to move the conversation to obviously the shark cage diving KZN. Obviously, what was some of your most closest encounters in terms of dangers when it comes to shark cage diving? In your experience.
Hello, in touch with, we've been very lucky. There hasn't been anything. And obviously, when you're working with sharks, and when you're working on the water, it's very important to follow protocol, and you've got to be strict. And obviously, briefings, people need to know what to do, what they can do, what they can't do. And even with us launching from the beach, so a person will get briefed before we launch. They know exactly what to do on the boats for safety. And once we launch, we travel about 8 kilometers to where we actually work. And the area that we work off is just off Scotland itself. It forms part of that.
Now, I want to talk about the facilities and shark cage diving. Durban, exactly. Talk to us exactly what else you offer, and your social media handles, etc. For those who are interested in this.
Okay, well, basically, we also do the snorkeling with sharks, no cage. And obviously, for that, you need to know how to snorkel. You need to be comfortable in the water. And generally, we take, the kids from 15 years old can do that with their parents' consent. That really is nice, and it's one of those things where, like I said earlier, if you aren't a swimmer, you are scared of sharks, which generally everybody normally is. But through the cage diving, it just changes your whole perception there, and you just start understanding the animal a little bit better. So you've got those two options, either in the cage or snorkeling.
Now, you've obviously met many people, I'm sure, over the years who come there. Sometimes maybe there's phobias amongst, civil society and, just the general population. What are some of the factors that obviously break the fear when, going into the cage?
It's just what I mean. I've seen it all, and it is.
Sure.
You can have the biggest guy, and the guy's just talking to him. Till it's time to climb the gate, this guy's shaking. You also obviously get the people with the phobias, like you said earlier, and it's one of those things where when they are in the cage, I'll get them to look me in the eyes, and I'll talk them through it. And I can promise you, after that, they're probably the best diver on the boat for the day. So you help them overcome that fear. They understand water a little bit better. And a lot of them, especially if they're not swimmers, you can change their mindset, and they maybe go to start swimming, and they do other things with the water now because they're a bit more comfortable. So it's one of those, look in my eyes, and then I just talk to you and I get you through the whole thing.
Distraction, basically, and giving them that sense of confidence as well. I mean, because I've spoken to people, who, offer bungee jumping, etc. People get afraid in this regard, but it's obviously great to know, obviously, what you shared with us. Obviously, you bring a wealth of experience. John, lastly, I want to just ask, now the whole Sodwala reef, as you mentioned earlier, right, and our coastline. You think maybe a bit more needs to be done from civil society, government, etc., things like that, organizations to support this? And shark cage diving in South Africa, where do you see it as opposed to other countries?
I mean, it's, in New Zealand, they actually stopped the cage diving there. So we've got in Australia, it's in the Bahamas as well. So there are a few countries that are still doing it. And
now, you mentioned New Zealand stopping it. The reasoning for that, is it obviously due to maybe...
one of the things there, it became like a bit of an internal thing where you had the scuba divers diving and you had the cage operators, and they weren't seeing eye to eye. And it's been going on for years there with the diving. Both groups enjoying the benefits of the ocean, and nothing's ever gone wrong. But it just happens sometimes where people make a noise where they shouldn't, and it's actually sad that they've taken it away, because the guys are really doing well there. And it was one of those where it was actually the courts who just decided it as well. So it wasn't even government or anything else. So it's a bit sketchy, but we'll see what's going to happen there. But as far as us are concerned, obviously tourism plays a big role here, and the guys are obviously really trying to promote it. That's at the end of the day, it's more protection on fish life and things like that, where you've got the Chinese vessels coming into our oceans, destroying the reefs, and obviously catching all the fish. And that's a big problem in Mozambique at the moment. So we also have a lot of fish not coming down our way anymore, because they've all been caught in Mozambique before they can even start their migration. So through the years, you see all this happening all the time. So, and it's also, obviously it's a costly thing to try and protect and keep the people off our oceans. It costs a lot of money. So, so it's really difficult.
Now, John, I want to just move to your facilities here. I am looking at the accommodation. I must say, Shark Cage Diving, KZN.com, and the site looks amazing. You obviously mentioned you're 40 minutes south of Durban, Scottburg. What are some of the facilities available at the Rocky Bay Resort?
Well, at the resort itself, we're in Sparkareni, so we're 5 kilometers just south of Scotland. They've got wooden cabins, 4, 5, and 12 berth cabins, and then there is a restaurant there. There's a swimming pool. You're right on the beach. There's also campsites as well. So it's quite a big resort, and it basically caters for the whole family as well. And so, from us, you've got the diving and you've got the boating and everything. So it all works very well. And
just looking at some of the pictures on the site, I must say, once I'm done on the show tonight, I want to just book a flight, make my way down to the coast. It's so enticing.
You're welcome.
Now, John, it's been great having you with us tonight. For those who want to get in touch, what's your contact details?
Okay, well, my email address is John Miller, JOHN MILLER, John Miller at sharkcagediving.kzn.com. And then our Twitter handles at Cage Dive. Instagram is Shark Cage Diving KZN, as well as our Facebook, Shark Cage Diving KZN or Durban.
Awesome stuff, man. There you have it, guys. Follow the handles and go on to sharkcagedivingkzn.com. Trust me, guys, check the site out. This really looks enticing, I must say. John Miller, thank you so much for your time tonight on the Go Wild segment, and looking forward to much more interaction moving forward.
Cool, man. Thanks a lot.
Take care, man. Have an awesome weekend.
You too, my bud. Cheers, man.
Cheers, man. Bye. Well, there you have it, guys. That was John Miller talking to us about shark cage diving. Actually, I've never done that. Though I know after tonight, my family members are going to obviously make a bet on this. But anyway, you know who you are. Anyway, that brings us to, 7:30 on the dot. Zakir Daoud's in the building. And coming up next is the sports segment with Zakir. Keep it locked to Salam Media. We'll be back after this.